Okay.
So, so welcome to, I'm Candy Conda Hall of Famer, and welcome to the Walter Payton Celeb Live series. And today we are talking to quarterback, famous Redskins, Mark Rypien. Uh, and I'm just so excited. He's MVP, Super Bowl winner, champion. And, of course, I talk a little bit of football and a lot of life. I call it a lot of life here.
I love
Um, and
That's great.
it's a lot more life. And so, we've been doing this series talking to all of our celebrities that are actually going to be golfing on the 10th, with us on the 10th and 11th at the South Shore Country Club in lovely Lakes, Las Vegas on the 10th and 11th of October at the Walter Payton Scholarship Golf Celebrity Classic. So welcome, first of all, Mr. Rypien. How are you today?
Wonderful, Candy. Thank you so much. And yes, I was a member of the Redskins, which is now the Washington football team for everyone out there.
Right,
And so,
right.
yeah, we're fortunate enough to have played against Mr. Payton. Walter was one of my, I think when I came up, one of the guys that I just admired. I mean, I used to turn on Sunday night highlights, whether I'd be in college and even in the pros with Chris Berman and watching Walter Payton do his stuff. I mean, sweetness was probably the greatest, one of the greatest analogies that Walter carried, and one of the greatest football players I've ever seen, and also a great humanitarian. Him and Connie, and what they do for the underprivileged youth, for the Connie and Walter Payton Foundation, and of course the Walter Payton Scholarship Foundation for underprivileged kids, to get an opportunity to do what they do. It's just will be an honor to be out there and honor our great friend Walter, and help those less fortunate.
And you have a foundation also, don't you? And
I do. I had the Rypien Foundation for a number of years, but Spokane's a small community here in Spokane, Washington, and we had the Community Cancer Fund, which basically kind of did a lot of the fundraising for adult cancer, and then our foundation did a lot of the pediatric oncology, pediatric work to help not only the children going through treatment, but the parents, and make sure the quality of care for the child and the family is up to par. But being a small community, you can leverage your dollars only so much. So we felt the best way to do both is to come under one umbrella. So I do I'm a counsel for the Community Cancer Fund, and we got an event coming up the end of September here, the 24th and 25th, a golf tournament for Hope that helps for our pediatric oncology unit up at Sacred Heart Children's Hospital here in Spokane.
And so this foundation, so what we're doing here with the scholarship and what you're doing as well, how important is it for legacy, for families especially for athletes to leave a legacy? How important is that?
Well, I think you can, when you can leverage your name and your likeliness, even in the years that you're not here. I mean, Walter's legacy as a player is insurmountable. As a humanitarian, it's even greater than that. And what he's been able to do with his foundation and the money's used to help those that are in need is you can't say enough thanks. And for not only Walter and his greatness on the field, but more importantly what he does off the field, and for the people that support his charities and his work that honors Walter along with helping others. And that's the same thing I look at. I lost my son 23 years ago to a brain tumor. So to honor my son Andrew and then help other families and along the way just gives great meaning and purpose for me personally, and then also collectively for all the group of kids and parents that are having to be there with their child as they're going through their treatment.
Yeah, and yes, I think there are a lot of that. I love to see when athletes give back and they also leave a legacy. I think it's one of the most important. I agree, one of the most important things that they can do. And so, and also, I'm glad to see that you're going to be golfing with us. We're super excited. So, I want to talk a little bit about football. I was watching an interview that you did, right? I was watching an old interview that you did, and one of the guys was talking about your nephew. So tell me this, how excited was it for you? Well, I want to go back a little bit. So, also,
Sure.
before we talk about your nephew, let's talk about how you got in the league because that was interesting to me. So, you guys have a really like rich family history of baseball, hockey. You guys have played just about everything.
Well, our
It
Canadian
seems like you guys
roots,
have played everything. Basketball.
yeah,
Tell us about that.
our Canadian roots have kind of, not only enabled us and allowed us to come down here. My parents moved here when I was 5 years old. My brother Tim was 4. My sister Colleen was 6. My brother Dave was, I think, just a year old, and my sister Shannon wasn't even born yet. And then so we came from Edmonton, Alberta, moved down here and to Spokane, and then we had my sister Shannon, who's the only American citizen out of all of us, and so I think it was just ingrained in us from day one. My dad was an athlete. He played 1 year of baseball and he got homesick and came home. He played at Seattle University where Elgin Baylor was playing basketball. So that was definitely a win-win for him to get to see one of the greatest basketball players all time play in college. And then he moved back home, but he felt the best opportunity coming from a small coal mining town in southern Alberta, Coleman, Alberta, that the best opportunity for his kids and maybe for his life and his my mom's life is to move down to the U.S. and give it a shot, And so we moved down here and being active and being involved in sports. I mean, I can remember I was 3 years old up in Canada with a baseball mitt in my hand, and it was one of the things that my dad just wanted us and mom wanted us to be involved in every way, shape, or form, whether it be in the church choir, whether it be in student body council or athletics. I mean, that was one of the things we felt we could offer to our community and make our community a better place. So, and it kept, also kept us out of trouble. We did things that, when in the summertime, when the lights went on, that's when you knew you had to come home, and so you're out playing, you're outdoors doing things. And this day and age, it's difficult with COVID, to even be anywhere in front of anyone at any place in time. So
Right.
it gave us that opportunity. My brothers and, unfortunately for me, my brothers were great baseball players, and they took that legacy of my
Okay.
dad. My brother Dave played at Gonzaga University here in town, and my sister Shannon played volleyball and basketball in high school and college, and my brother Tim played for the Canadian national team, and also played 5 years in the Toronto Blue Jay organization. My brother Dave played in the Olympics in Seoul, Korea in 1988 when it was an exhibition sport for Team Canada. So there's a lot of family dynamics there. And then Tim's son Brett,
Right. Right. Right.
great prep career. Matter of fact, I think midway through his junior season, he had broken every school record here in
Wow.
Spokane. This is midway through his junior year, never mind. And then he broke the state record, when he graduated his senior year out of Shadle Park and went on to Boise State, played 4 great years there. Was undrafted, but became a free agent, has been able to hang on with the Denver Broncos, and just is a great kid, very cerebral when it comes to football. He's very smart. He understands the game and, gets his players in the right position. So he's on the practice squad right now. And of course, Teddy had an amazing game here last week, and Broncos opened up with a win in New York. And so, he's got to be ready. He's 2 plays away from being the guy, 1 play away from being active. So it's, you always have to be ready. And I know for him, that's important, that he stays mentally involved in the game, and as well as, being a good practice squad player and giving the scout team a great look for the defense and helping them out throughout the week.
Is he calling you right now for advice?
Not really. He did last year a little bit, when he got his first start
Yeah.
against the New York Jets, and I says, well, there's not much I can tell you. You've kind of, other than just, understand that what you do throughout the week of practice is going to have a telling event on Sunday. And if you just kind of go through all the things that and physically go out there and do the things that you've done for the last 15 years playing the game, or 10, 12 years, I don't even know now how many years, but that, you'll be fine. And one thing I try to tell him, and that I had to learn myself, was try to slow the game down, because when you get
Right.
out there on the field, you're excited, your adrenaline's going, everything's going. And that way, maybe you push it a little bit too much. You make decisions a little bit quicker. Your timing's off. Try to slow it down. And I remember my first start. First of all, I didn't know if I could even play in the league. Watching
Right.
on the sidelines, watching Doug Williams play, and going to myself, wow, this game is too fast. I don't know if I can play. then I got my first start, and that was one of the things that I was told, hey, see if you can slow it down, because I know you're going to want to get that first ball, get back there really quick and make things happen. Just take your progressions, do it in a way that brings the game to you. So he thought of that, and he said, yeah, it's funny how that works, when you do slow it down and don't make quick, spontaneous decisions, because a lot of times your receivers are going to run the routes they're going to run at the depth they're going to run. But if you're back there so fast and throwing it, your timing's going to be off. It's not going to be the same as the practice. So,
I ask all of my guys, I say, if you had to tell your younger self something, everything, all the knowledge that you have now, if you look back, what would you tell your younger self? What advice would you give?
Yeah, I think one thing that I would, based on kind of looking at athletes today, we all look at players. Why was their career so long? You talk to them about their habits, their health habits, their eating habits. Their
Right.
workout. This isn't. God gave us a great talent to play the game, and
Right.
they were fortunate and blessed enough to play for 13 years. But I could have done a lot more when I was younger. I mean, I think the one thing that is important to all athletes, and you look at the ones that are playing their different positions, I guarantee you most of these athletes were 2 or 3 sport athletes, and they were well-rounded in a lot of areas, and they're really good in the locker room because, they've had different teammates. They haven't been with the same group of people throughout their whole career. So I still love that aspect of having a 3-sport athlete. The one thing I think I would have, as a younger age, and wasn't really as prevalent as it is now, is the strenuous workout things, those programs you do, is lifting weights and keeping yourself in tip-top condition. I was skinny and thin when I was young, so eating they were trying to put weight on me when I was coming through high school, and now I'm like to a point where I'm going, how do I get this off? And it's a lot more difficult when you're older. But if you have a system and you can able to inject that system at an early age of good eating habits and healthy foods and things that help with inflammation, for later years in life, especially a sport that, is very physical. I think I'd encourage that to all young kids and find that happy medium where you're still playing a lot of sports, still doing very, very active, but try to work in that physical activity of lifting weights and eating well that really will enable you down the road to be more prolific as you get older.
And so you had a Hall of Fame coach, Joe Gill, right?
Yep, Joe Gibbs was amazing. Yep.
And so was that coach, is there anything that you feel that, wow, I think that he could have taught this generation, or he could have taught these guys? Do you ever think about that? That if they would have had this coach?
I think one of the things that has changed is the ability to adapt. Adaptability is one of the things in sports that has changed over the years. Coaches having to adapt to, basically, when you got 22 guys, you got 22 starters on your team. These are 22 guys that this is their business. Each one is an individual business within a business, and they're out there doing the best they can to make as much money as they possibly can in an environment, because they don't know how long they're going to be there. The length of an NFL play, I think, is like not even over 3 years, is the longevity of a player. So every player is out there to get as much as they can and work as hard as they can to get that, whether it's endorsements here, doing things there. So in essence, it might take away a little bit from the on-field and stuff that they do. And the off season, they're doing a lot of things with their sponsors, and that's understandable. And Joe Gibbs was pretty much one of the first guys that kind of said, hey, listen, we need to have our guys around year round in our community, because one, it sets a precedent for us as players to be around each other, our families around each other, and then us collectively and individually around a community. And our community in Washington, D.C. and the D.C., Virginia, they call it the DVM, D.C., Virginia, Maryland area there, we're very close. And a lot of this was because it was before we signed that collective bargaining agreement in 1994 with Gene Upshaw that allowed players to become free agents. So you didn't have the movement that they have now of free agency and going from one team going to here, there, because coaches had a very collective group of guys that they knew were coming back for a period of time that they can work within these individuals within the team, and it was a lot easier. But when you're trying to take a piece out of your left guard, your right tackle, and your quarterback and your safety and your linebacker, and they're going to other teams, you kind of got to restart the engine again. I think that would have been a difficult situation, because one of the great things about Joe Gibbs, he kept guys there later in their career just because, one, they were good stewards of the game. They were great in the locker room. They still could make plays, and they taught the young kids what it took to be a pro, and Darryl Green played for like 20 years and at a very high level, Art Monk, and there was a formula those guys had, and I think Joe was comfortable in that arena, but it was difficult, I think, when he transitioned to a group of guys where he didn't know who was coming back the next year, and you had to reinvent the wheel again each and every year.
And so, I one of the things that I'm really, I'm really excited about, as we go forward too, like, with this event is, I've talked to some of the most. I talked to Dick Buckus a few weeks ago. I talked to Merle Hodge, and I mean, I've talked to legends upon legends upon legends, and I think you guys kind of all say the same thing, and that is that you guys have learned, like, over the years, like, you guys have kind of learned your own, like your own genius of, how you guys, have done things. And it's like, sometimes you guys say, yeah, I would like to, see, the younger guys do, do certain things. But, I think a lot of you guys also, I'm excited that you guys are like, okay, I think they should do a little bit, maybe more in this part of the community. I'd like to see them give back a little bit more. But then I think, like Dick Buckus was like, they got so much money that, it's almost like it's hard to say, like almost like what you were just saying, that just right now, it's almost hard to say what they should be doing, kind of thing. But he says, I do think that is some of the things that are missing sometime a little bit, that the guys were closer back then. The guys did do more things together. Now it's kind of like everybody's got money, they're going off doing their own thing, and it's not like the same sense of camaraderie that it was back then. And then some of the guys are like, that it's not the same football anymore either. Some of the guys are like, what do you feel about that? Do you think the game has changed?
I got some insight on that too, Candy. I think you're correct. The football is different because we're in a concussion era of football where we're very, very conscientious of concussion. So what happens when you have that is that, and it's the right thing to do, is during the week of practice, there is no contact. You're not in full pads and doing what Dick Butkus did every day, and is pretty much drag a guy down to the ground and practice each and every day.
Right.
You don't see that at all, and you'll never see that anymore in college and high school and pro games, because we want to give our players an opportunity for their brains to heal. Give it a week to heal, and I think that's imperative for the understanding of the level of play that we had and endured in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s, and that era of football is gone, and now we're more to a very skill level. We're protecting our defenseless athletes, our skill players, and rightly so. Our quarterbacks. I mean, Tom Brady's played for till he's 44 years old, and Drew Brees and those guys, is because they, the last 10 years they've pretty much protected them because of rules. Receivers, as far as not being corners, not being able to do what they used to do, mug guys at the line of scrimmage, and those types of things. So I think it's the game. Obviously, the rules and everything else has changed. It's become more of a skill game. I think when you come to look at records of passing yards and offensive football, they've made it more open-minded to the offense and trying to protect the players on that side of the ball because they're defenseless players. So it has changed, but understandably so. The one thing, though, that I think it's for all those young players, as much money and the more money they make and the more notoriety they make, they can take that business to a different level when they connect with the community, off the field when they're done playing. That's where it leads to chances and opportunities. And I also think it's I think it's our duty too, Candy, to to go into our environment, go into our communities, and be a humanitarian like Walter and so many players have done, and be the leaders when it comes to that aspect of it, because I think it's our duty, and with what we're seeing in our country this day, and we need to bring people together. And even though it's, a lot of times you turn on the news and there's a lot of negative and a lot of divisiveness, if you look at the whole, there is so much more good than bad that's going on. And I think that's what we need to look at and have our young guys.
I think sports is this. I think sports is a way to bring it all together. I think sports is it can be the kind of the leveler here also. And I also think that the NFL Players Association and the NBA Players Association is doing a much better job in recent years of reaching back and helping the older players and bridging that gap. Because I think for a long time, they kind of left the older guys out there and they were just kind of helping I think they're trying to bridge that gap a little bit. Do you feel that too?
Oh yeah. I think that, Morris Smith and the NFL have done a concerted effort to make sure that the guys that paved the way for the guys that are playing the game today, and I would even say the guys that played way before me, they paved the way for the time and period that I played, and I'm so grateful for those guys. And the one thing we can never forget is they made this game what it is today. And it's a multi-billion dollar industry.
Yes.
And there's a piece of pie for those guys that got in the trenches and blood, sweat, and tears, in the 60s and 70s and early 80s that showed me that this is what it takes, and they sacrificed the call to make the game what it is today. I mean, and I think that's important, and I think we need to look at that, and the league has looked at it, and they've done they've been very concerned about that, and I think they've made some efforts to help out the legends, because I mean, if you really look at it, our life expectancy has gone up a little bit, but we're still looking at that 60-year-old range, and it's about time a lot of guys that have played the sport, and you see it each and every year, 50 to 100 guys that have played the game, and they're in their early 60s or late 50s, or early 70s, and they die at a much younger age than the norm.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm on those alumni emails, because I belong to a couple of the alumni, and I see that they're doing so much better with all of the insurance plans and a lot of the, and even some of the local alumni, with the speaking engagements and things of that nature. And I'm just so proud that they have come around. So someone's asking in the chat, how important will NFTs be in the sports world in the future? So I want you to answer that, and then I can tell what I know about the NFTs. Do you want to answer that, or you want me to jump in?
I'm technologically challenged in all these.
Okay, so I'll jump in then.
I know WFT is the Washington football team. I know WTF something else, but I don't know what an NFT is.
Mark, no start. Okay, so an NFT is a non-fungible token, and actually we do NFTs in our company, the Las Vegas Sports Consortium. We actually do NFTs, by the way, for athletes. And so matter of fact, also in our clubhouse, we just launched one of the athletes for Lee Steinberg. We launched the Ronald Jones Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We launched his NFT last week. He had a 3-part NFT. And so the answer to your question, Andre, I think that NFTs are going to be definitely the way of the future. Patrick Mahomes launched the biggest NFT so far, I think, in history. The most, I think his has been the most money so far. But then, in true fashion, the league now is getting involved. I was told, I got to check this out. The league is now getting involved, and I think the league is going to start doing NFTs also. I think they've started their own media imaging department. So, if that is true, then they will be probably doing NFTs in-house as well. So to make sure that, it's something that is across the board. So I think it'll be very important. So
is it like, is this like a Bitcoin or something, or?
It's done on the blockchain. It's done on the
Is
blockchain.
way over my head and pay scale there. I have no idea. So
Just call me, Mark, because you need one. You should have
okay,
one. I think all the legends should have one. I should do a whole legends series of NFTs.
wonderful.
You
Well,
guys should have
when
your
I'm
own
down there in
NFT done.
October, you'll be at the event. So when I'm down there in October, I'd love to
Yes,
meet
I will be there.
you on that. Okay.
Okay. But anyway, so we'll talk about that. Andre, call me later. So let me ask you this. So so I got two more questions and I'm gonna let you go, Mark.
Okay.
So you did what, 11 years? You did 11 years, and you have a Super Bowl ring, which I'm super happy about that, because a lot of people still don't have a Super
Well,
Bowl ring, right?
I'm fortunate to have two Super Bowl rings. I played 13
Two.
years. I'm
Look at
fortunate to have
me.
two Super Bowl. Yeah, Doug Williams.
Two.
I was on the team with Doug Williams, the MVP in 1987. I didn't, I was
Right.
kind of that practice squad guy, that was, trying to help our defense out. So yeah, I was on that team in 87, 88. So I have two of them. Thanks.
So yeah, correct me. Thank you. I'm so
Oh,
sorry
that's
about
okay.
that.
That's okay. No, I want
I-
to give my teammates credit. That was a great
No,
year.
I know.
in 87.
I'm glad you did that.
Yeah.
And so you got two Super Bowl rings. So here's my thing for all those guys out there that don't have a Super Bowl ring yet, right? They've already been, always a bridesmaid, never the bride. What do you say to those guys? What do you say? What's your motivating words right now? To all those teams out there now that they just haven't got there yet. What do you say to them?
Well, I think you look at the guys that I played with, the Jim Kellys and Thurman Thomases, and if you ask each and every one of those guys, collective or individually, and then collectively as a group, that's one of the things. They had 4 Super Bowl runs, 4 Super Bowl years, back to back to back to back, and never were able to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. The hoisting Lombardi Trophy is the epitome of sport in our game. The Stanley Cup in hockey, the World Series trophy in baseball, and then in basketball, the World Championship that you've seen, Shaq and LeBron and Michael Jordan hoisting it the most, in their sport. So it's the one thing that they all, strive. That's why they play the game. They're excited because it did come at a team process. Individually you have to play great, and I just know that Super Bowl, that Lombardi Trophy that we raised, and the names on that Lombardi Trophy signify a group of guys, 53 guys that were had a goal in mind at the beginning of that season and set out to achieve that, and did. And so the ones that don't have it, yeah, there's their feeling. I mean, a lot of them have gone to the bank and don't feel so bad once they go to the bank. But when it comes to, feeling that that level of I didn't quite get what I set out to get, it does have a bitter taste a little bit. But I know a lot of these guys, still have that opportunity. And, a guy like Patrick Mahomes did it in a very short period of time. And Tom Brady's done it a lot of times, So, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, every time I look at my ring, I look at the field of those 53 guys right there, and every time I go back to alumni and I get to, reconvene with these guys, and these stories, these football stories become fishing stories. They get bigger and better each and every year. So.
And it's so funny because I'm going to tell you my Patrick Mahomes story. So I'm at a Lee Steinberg party, right? And I'm at his Super Bowl party. I go every year, and I'm in line. I'm eating, and Patrick Mahomes and what's his name from Green Bay? God, he's gonna kill me. No, but Aaron Jones. They jumped me in line, and we started. I was like, "You guys can't butt me." I don't even know who he is at the time. I was, "You guys can't butt me," and it's like, "Oh, come on, Mom. Let us let us get in front of you." I was like, "Okay, go ahead." And then so Aaron says at the time, he says, "Look, this guy right here, he's going to be the next top draft pick." And I says, "Well, if that's the case, then go ahead, you can butt me." So we start joking around. And then I tell Aaron some kind of way. I says, I'm a veteran. I said, I'm a veteran. You're not supposed to, you're not supposed to be getting in front of veterans. And we just started, joking around for like 20 minutes. We go take photo together. And then Aaron says, you know what? I really like you. I'm going to take you to meet my mom because she's a veteran too. He takes me to meet his mom and dad. I meet them, and I have a company called Life After Sports. We hit it off. We stay close, and then I end up taking our program to their camp the next year. Now Aaron's dad ends up passing away this year, by the way. Aaron Jones,
Sorry,
his dad passed away, and I had been, I did an event with them, and and then of course Patrick, does all this amazing stuff. So, but it was just weird. Like, I mean, I met them, we were in line eating, joking around, taking photos, acting silly, I mean, we literally were just like, always like by 3 of us, acting silly, joking around, and then look, I didn't even really know, like at the time, and then, like I said, I got pictures. I never take that picture of me, him, and Aaron off of my Twitter page. It's like me, him, and Aaron. It's a picture on my Twitter page. I never take it off. And, like I said, who knew?
You never know.
You don't know.
The next, Patrick Mahomes, the next,
right?
Joe
Exactly.
Montana, the next Tom Brady.
Yep.
And if there is
I tell people all that time, and I always tell people too. I tell people all the time. I said, you really never know who you're talking to. Be nice to everybody. Be kind to everyone. You really never know who it is that you're talking to, who they're connected to. I tell people this all the time. People always say, how do you meet everybody? I'm like, I'm nice to everybody. I'm everybody's favorite friend. I'm everybody's auntie. That's why I'm that auntie that everybody meets. But anyway, I'm not gonna hold you. This has been amazing. If you think, is there anything else that you want to tell us? Anything else that you're doing? Any words of wisdom you want to leave? Because I don't want to tie up your day. This has been great.
No, not at all. I just, like I say, I look very forward to coming out to Vegas and, helping such a worthy humanitarian first in Walter. And
what's your golf game like, though?
Well, I mean, my golf game is pretty good. I've each year in Lake Tahoe, they have the American Century Championship on NBC Sports, and I was been lucky and fortunate enough to play in 28 of the 31 events, and I've won twice. And it's just a fun weekend in Tahoe. I haven't been for the last couple of years. COVID's kind of cut down the field a little bit, and they're moving towards some younger athletes, and us old folks, but my game's still pretty good. I can compete, and
have you been to Lake Las Vegas yet? Have you been to the South Shore Country Club?
No, I have not. I've played Reflection Bay, and I've played Dragon Ridge, and I've played Shadow Creek, and I've played Cascada, and I've played Red Rock, and I've played the Bears Best. I played a lot up there in the area. I have not played the Summit or South Shore yet, but
okay.
I'm really excited to get out that way and see some old friends and a chance to keep carrying the torch for Walter, because he was such a great humanitarian, and his ability to reach out to people and help those less privileged or underprivileged and in difficult situations is his legacy, and proud to be a part of it, a small part of it.
Well, thank you, Mark. And I just want to let you know they're giving away a car. So I just want to let you know. So if you leave with a car, I'll know how good you really were.
Well, fantastic. I'll drive you back from the course, and you can give me a little bit more on those NTFs or NFTs okay. or whatever those are, WTFs.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks,
please go to please guys go to walterpayton34.com for more information on the Walter Payton Scholarship event, which will be held on October 10th and 11th, and it will be at lovely Las Vegas, Lakes Las Vegas, the South Shore Country Club, and we will see you guys on October 10th and 11th. And if you have any questions, please inbox me, and we will see you guys there. Thank you for tuning in.